If you're thinking of having a vacation home in Brian Head, Utah, and you're planning on having it double as a short-term rental, you're going to want to stick around for this video. We're going to discuss a few key things that you'll want to think about and look into before purchasing a vacation home / short-term rental in Brian Head, Utah. All right, let's get to it. If this is your first time to this channel, we talk about everything there is to know about living in Cedar City, Utah and the surrounding areas. My name is Elizabeth Prisbrey. I'm with Stratum Real Estate Group. If you are looking to make a move to Southern Utah, I would love to help you out with that. You can find my information up here in the corner or down below in the description. Please don't hesitate to reach out. All right, so let's discuss short-term rentals in Brian Head. Now, if you're watching this, it's not unheard of to you. Most of my clients that reach out and are looking to purchase a place in Brian Head want their vacation home to double as a short-term rental. It allows them to offset the cost while still enjoying Brian Head, Utah when their family wants to come up and enjoy it. There's a few things that we start looking into as soon as they tell me this is the route they want to take. The first thing is, are short-term rentals allowed in this location? Not everywhere in Brian Head allows short-term rentals, and there are a few places that will limit the number that allow short-term rentals. So for example, let's say there are 100 homes in that housing development or in that community or subdivision, and they might limit it to 22 of those homes are allowed to have short-term rentals. There are also locations that will limit the days per year. So you can have a short-term rental, but you can only rent it out 100 days out of the year. So if you're going in and you're planning on having a vacation home that you're going to double as a short-term rental, you want to make sure that you understand what type of revenue is going to come in if you are limited on the days that you can actually rent that out. Now, there are other locations in town that don't have any stipulations, but that's something that we need to look into when you bring me a property that you are interested in. The second thing that we want to take a look at is, does it have year-round access? If you cannot get to the property in the wintertime, when most people want to be up at Brian Head because of ski season, then that's not going to benefit you very much. So we're looking at maybe paved roads or year-round access, meaning the county or the HOA will come in and they will clear the streets. Now, with that being said, if you are buying a property up in Brian Head, they may come through and clear the streets or plow the streets during the wintertime when it has snowed. However, most of the time, unless it's in a condo that the HOA comes in and plows the entire parking lot, then you might want to expect to hire someone to actually plow your driveway. So that's a little bit of an extra added cost. For example, if you purchase a cabin that, yes, the county road is plowed, but your specific driveway isn't, you will need to think about hiring somebody to come in, plow your driveway, and stay on top of it. Not just before you are coming, but you're going to want to make sure that they are staying on top of it every time it snows. So a cost you're going to have to think about through those winter months in order to be able to get to it. So those are the first two things that we look at when one of my clients reaches out and says, hey, I want a place in Brian Head. I also want to do a short-term rental. What can you find for me? They'll start sending me listings and I start diving in to figure out, okay, is it going to hit these two components first? Now, the third thing that you need to know about having a short-term rental in Brian Head, Utah is that you must submit an application through the town. Not everywhere does this, but Brian Head, Utah does, and a lot of people are surprised or caught off guard by this. So I want to jump into their website and show you what to expect when submitting an application to have a short-term rental here in Brian Head. All right, so I am actually on the Brian Head Town website where you can go in and you can find the application and read a little bit more about it. I will link this website down below so that you can access it easily, but it is just brianheadtown.utah.gov. This is the home page here. I have made it a little bit larger so that it's easier to see. You're just going to come over to the right side here. It takes a moment to find it, and you're going to click on Forms and Publications. Now, you can see right here on the second section, Nightly Rental Applications and Forms. This whole section is going to give you everything that you'll need to know in order to submit that application for your short-term rentals. This is going to be anything that is rented out for less than 30 days. So I'm going to click right here on our Nightly Rental rental license application and give you an idea of what is expected. So here's the document. It's about 3 pages. It is really pretty simple to understand, but you can see in the top section here that it is going to be for temporary nightly rentals. So it's going to be anything less than those consecutive 30 days. This includes everything there without limitation, including condominiums, single family residence, bed and breakfast, boarding house, inn, resort, rooming house, recreational lodging unit, private campground, or timeshare project. You can see all of that listed here on the application. It doesn't matter what the dwelling is, you must have an application submitted through Brian Head Town in order to have short-term rentals here. Now, the application is pretty simple and straightforward. You're going to have your general information, who you are, what your business name is, what your mailing address is going to be, your contact information. Then you're going to provide information about the actual rental property itself. So the physical address, a description of the number of bedrooms, the number of parking spaces. This is actually going to be single family residence only. If you'll take a look here, it doesn't go towards those condos because those actually have parking lots on site. Now, you also have to specify who the designated responsible party is going to be, whether it is yourself or whether you are using a property management company or a rental management company. Now, I bet you didn't realize you needed this, but you are going to need a sales tax ID or use your social security number. That will work as well. You'll have to specify whether it's a corporation, an LLC, a limited liability partnership, or a sole proprietorship. So they do actually want a lot of information here, and you also need to tell them where you plan to advertise this. Are you using Airbnb? Are you using VRBO? They want all of this information. Now, you are going to have to submit a fee for this. And I don't know if I noted this before, but you will have to do this yearly. So you will have to resubmit this application every year. If you are going to renew that nightly rental the next year, then you do get a little bit of decrease there. So these are amounts that you are going to have to figure into your costs when you are going in to consider a short-term rental in Brian Head. Now, they will also require a fire inspection. They will go in and take care of that. That's another $30 fee. Along with this application, you will also need to submit an owner affidavit. We'll take a look at that document so you can see what that is, as well as proof of insurance on the property. And then an important thing to note, and I'll highlight it here, it says all licenses expire September 30th. So the new license year begins on October 1st. Renewal applications must be received by that date in order to avoid those late fees. And then of course, in this next section here, you're just going to sign away your life. I'm just kidding. But this is where you certify that you are this person, there's not any perjury going on, and that all of the information here that is provided is correct and accurate. Now, it's very careful to say that this is not a license just because you're filling out the application. You still have to go through that application process. Now, the third page here is for office use only. They'll check the building and zoning, they'll check the public safety department, they'll go through everything to make sure it hits everything that Brian Head Town requires. So as promised, I did want to show you the owner affidavit form so that you know what you are submitting with this application. So this is a one-page document. You're basically just signing again and saying that all of the information in the application is correct to the best of your knowledge, and that you acknowledge and agree to abide by all the requirements and restrictions of Brian Head Town Code as it permits to nightly rentals. You are stating that you are the legal owner of the property, as well as your physical address or where you live. It specifies that you understand they are going to go in and conduct their own fire inspection of the property, and they're going to do that biannually. So just be aware of that. That is going to happen twice a year. Essentially, you are confirming the description of the property. You're also giving consent and authorizing a nightly rental management company to take care of this property, to run it basically on your behalf. And you are acknowledging that you might be held subject to any citations or violations that occur on the property, regardless of whether this management company is running it. Of course, you are going to stipulate who the management company is here as well. Basically, you are agreeing that you are the responsible party, regardless of who is managing this property. Now, also within this section on the Brian Head Town website, we have the fire inspection requirements. Remember, they're going to come in and do a fire inspection twice a year if you are using this as a short-term rental. Again, this document can be found on their website. I highly recommend you go to the website and check out all of these before deciding to own a short-term short-term rental, because you'll want to make sure that these are all items that you can take care of. Now, this just goes over the requirements for fire safety within your short-term rental. For example, having a fire extinguisher mounted in a conspicuous location, having smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors in good working order. You can go to the website and read through this, but it basically just gives you the guidelines that are expected for a short-term rental here in Bryan Head. Again, you can find this on their website, so you can go through this in more detail and break it down, but I wanted to just give you a heads up that yes, this is a requirement. So if you are coming in and planning on having your vacation home double as a short-term rental, you'll want to check this out and know about it ahead of time. Now, there's one other part that I want to point out here under their nightly rental application and forms, and that is good neighbor policy and overnight parking map. I kind of love that they put this in here, but it's basically just asking you and any of your tenants or your short-term renters to be good neighbors. And this is something you can put up in your short-term rental so that your renters know exactly what is expected by you and by the town. Meaning, be friendly, be courteous, treat your neighbors like you want to be treated. Posting this where your renters can see it is helpful. For example, they recommend putting it on the refrigerator because if at any time, if there is an emergency, they can contact these numbers. It is a 24-hour contact. It's great to have it there for your protection as well as theirs and everyone else around. They also want people to be thoughtful about noise. We all know how annoying it can be when we go on vacation and we're camping or we're staying at a place and then there's people up all hours of the night and we don't sleep. With that being said, they have put in here 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. just kind of a noise ordinance, making sure that your tenants are aware that they need to be quiet during those hours or not loud enough to disrupt any neighbors. And again, remember on that owner affidavit, you kind of signed away that if there are any citations that you'll be the responsible party for them. Now, they've also gone over parking, and this is important because when there is snow, when they are plowing, if it is snowed overnight, the snow plows need to be able to get through. So really, there's no public street parking. You need to be in designated spaces. They're not trying to be rude, but it is important when they are going through and they are plowing the roads. And honestly, I've seen them plow right around cars and those cars get stuck. So you'll want to make sure that's not you or your renters. Now, again, this document is really beneficial for you, especially 5, 6, 7, and 8. It's telling your tenants, hey, maintain the property, clean up after yourself. It's letting them know that this rental complies with the fire safety regulations of the town. It's letting them know that they are expected to clean up after their pets and to store pet food indoors in a secure container because it's in the woods. And then last, it's letting your guests or your visitors or your renters know that they are expected to follow this and be good neighbors, not only by you, but by the town. So I know that was a lot of information. It really isn't when you dig into it and when you get into a flow and you've been doing it for years. But I wanted to make sure that you understood that if you are coming into Bryan Head and you are planning on having a short-term rental there and doubling that up with a vacation home, there are requirements in place, and so it's best just to have the information in there ahead of time. Of course, when you come in and you tell me that, we're going to look into that before you dive into the property. Another thing that I do want to note though is submitting that application doesn't happen until after you've purchased the property. So we can go in and do our due diligence, make sure that you are buying in a subdivision that allows those short-term rentals and that there are no caps already in place. And then once we do that, we check to see if it has year-round access so that you are getting the most for your money throughout the year. Then we can go in, purchase the home, and you will already be on the right track to get those short-term rentals approved. All right, if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest here in Southern Utah, my name is Elizabeth Prisbrey. I'm with Stratum Real Estate Group. I promise you I will respond, so please don't hesitate to reach out. My number is up here in the corner or down below in the description. All right, until next time, have a wonderful day.